back. We're going to start off with our first topic of the day, which is that Meet Kevin did a interview with the Wall Street Journal. It was a podcast interview, and they documented the rise and fall of how he got to popularity, which was around the meme stock era of January 2021, AMC, GameStop, in a crazy bull market, and now how his following has dwindled off a bit simply because the stock market isn't as hot with retail investors as it eventually was. So the question is, for both of you guys who are in the YouTube finance space, what is the future of YouTube finance, and can it become a big category on YouTube without a bull market that currently exists? Justin, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, finance YouTube is a niche. I'm not really sure how big or small of a niche it will or will not be. I think it depends on how many retail investors are really interested in buying single stocks, which is waning because the market's been absolute crap. And on Meet Kevin, did he, I think the question we wanted to talk about was, did he kind of pump the niche and pump the craze, and then subsequently in the long term kind of destroy the niche or undermine the niche by kind of doing that and ripping the cord, I guess, by selling 99% of his stocks and whatever people got mad at him. We've covered him here before. I think Tom is much more connected with the YouTube pulse than I am, but I think that Kevin has actually a pretty good macro gut, because he's reading news articles all day. I think he's a pretty good macro gut, and the decision to sell everything and whatever was, in retrospect, a generally good call. I know he's buying aggressively right now when we think that there's more downside, but again, maybe he has a pretty good gut, maybe he got lucky. I think where he's weaker, and this is coming from someone who worked in the industry, is single stock security selection. So you look at the basket of stocks that he bought and kind of really propagated, it was 30 high growth stocks. And so in terms of being able to cover all of them and doing valuations on all of them, it's less of that. But if he's a good macro gut, I don't know. Tom, do you have anything to add here?
Well, I think the problem with Kevin was, and I'm friends with Kevin, for disclosure, and I made videos defending Kevin. We did work together, and I got a lot of heat about it. The problem with Kevin was, and I said it to his face, is that he was talking about the importance of staying in the market, doubling down, not getting too fidgety, not bouncing in and out like a headless chicken, essentially preaching about the importance of time in the market versus timing the market. And a few days later, he flip-flopped and basically said, well, I'm getting out of the market because I'm trying to time the market. That's where the crisis came for Kevin. Nobody was accusing Kevin of AMC, GME. Nobody was saying that he had bad predictions or bad stocks. That one incident basically ruined kind of the reputation for him. And I felt that he needed to come out and address it and say, hey, I know what I did wasn't exactly as far as what I was preaching for the past 3 years, but I had a gut feeling and I went with it, and you can't teach gut feeling, right? But for him, it's a problem because he sells a $1,000 course. It's not a cheap course, and from everything I heard, it's a decent course that people enjoy. But if you sell a $1,000 course, and in that course you're teaching, hey, time in the market, double down, buy the dip DCA, and then you're not following through your own advice, it creates a crisis of trust between you and your fans. And that's why I think a lot of people turn on Kevin. And even though that it seems that he was right about the crisis, we are heading we're way closer to the recession than we were when he made the prediction. So I agree, he has good macro outlook for sure. But I think that Kevin wasn't really the victim of meme stock frenzy, but rather not following through his own advice, which is where people felt betrayed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say one thing to add here is that he did make $22 million from YouTube in 2021 from kind of being an influencer. So for you, Justin, do you think you kind of need the controversy of I'm selling and getting everyone in a hoorah to make that much money? And that is also what makes YouTube finance a little bit weird?
Yes. I think the way you succeed on finance YouTube is you are a single stock analyst in a stock that a lot of people love. So you see that with crypto. Or you see that with, quite honestly, Tom, I'll be blunt. You saw a lot of views for Palantir, And
You're talking about me? Do you have a guy next to you who's like has a Palantir?
oh yeah,
channel?
I mean like Amit is like just a sole Palantir channel.
He hasn't made a non-Palantir video in like 70
but
years,
even
bro.
like Dave Lee is a Tesla person. You have like so many just Tesla
Stephen Mark
folks.
Ryan, solving the money problem.
Exactly. So that's one thing, and I think that's a legitimate thing because you're being an analyst in a community. And the other one is like hyping a lot of things, and things are falling down. I mean, you even look. I mean, he's friends with Graham Stephan. Let's have an extended section here. I think like $22 million. He made the majority of his net worth. I mean, same thing with like Graham Stephan or whatever. Not from the investments, but from like the $22 million. From what I can tell, if anybody has his latest like returns, then post it in the comments below. I think that was one of the shots that that Chicken Genius said is, why don't you show us the full ROI? I think he was alluding to Meet Kevin.
Yep.
So like when you sell $1,000 courses, I mean, like that's the business right here. The business and just, you know, I'm going to get probably, you know, boiled in the comments here, but I know that what it feels like to work 24 hours a day, or, you know, and he's working very, very hard. But what, I mean, and he is the face and he's actually filming these courses, but to do the full research, the scripting, like the course, I guess, progression, like he definitely has either an in-house team or an out-house team, you know, developing these courses through which...
Did you just call his team an outhouse team?
Or outsource team, developing the courses through which he is the mouthpiece, right? He is the modern day like newscaster or actor, I guess. But he has, again, I'm going to give him a lot of credit. I think he's a really good macro gut.
And he's good on camera.
He's very good at camera. And he's very good at understanding complex concepts and breaking them down very, very quickly. He is extremely talented. Extremely talented. I have a lot of respect for Kevin.
The problem with what he's doing right now is basically Kevin is doubling down on recession. I'm selling everything. So now I believe in that podcast he was talking about. Now he's starting to sell his real estate, which is something he didn't think he'd have to do because of how bad things are about to get. So he's doubling down on this, sell everything, get out of the market. Now, I don't know what to tell you about getting out of the market and going cash, but there's a really good piece in the newsletter called Market Sentiment. I don't know if you guys are subscribed to that. It's on Substack. And there's a really good article by, I forgot his name, who wrote it, but essentially he analyzed the three crashes, so .com, subprime, and COVID, and he analyzed which strategy yielded the best results. So stay in, right? Go to cash or double down. So basically, and he analyzed them at 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, and all the way until January 2022 to see which one would work better. And the results are kind of insane because those who basically double down had the best results in all three crashes. So a year into it, those who double down were 0.5% up, and everybody, so stay was at -4%, and get out of the market was at -30%. So essentially, he made, we're going to link the full article below so you guys can go check it out. But essentially, if you held from the crises through 2000, 2008, and all the way now, so you did 225% if you double down, 200% if you just stayed in, and 123% if you waited until the crisis was over and then jumped back in as the market started recuperating.
And
so
I want to update you real quick. He tweeted yesterday that peak Fed fear is over and he's buying. And then it seems like in the comments he's predicting a Q3, Q4 rally, actually. So that just happened. So but again, I think that's what people are really, really upset about is like, you can't really pin him down. He's kind of moving very aggressively.
It seems very erratic. I mean, it just goes against everything we know as far as not trying to jump back in and out.